I always say that leadership is not about you, but it's everything about you. It's not only moving ahead is not progress. Sometimes stepping back is also progress. When I look at it, one person that comes to my mind is Mahatma Gandhi.
Hello everyone and welcome to the CEO Circle, a podcast series by CEO Club's The Bangalore chapter. I'm Mallanna Sasalu and today I have the distinct pleasure of speaking to my dear friend Mallanna Sasalu. Mallanna has many achievements under his belt, not just being my dear friend. Several years in leadership positions, not just in India, but Singapore, Canada, USA. Armed with a civil engineering degree, he's also a Harvard Business School alumni. One of his greatest talents is business growth, but also creating disproportionate wealth in every sphere that he is in. You don't have to believe me, his track record, it speaks for itself. He's mentored many people across the globe. These people have gone on to senior leadership positions in big companies. But my favorite quality about him is his propensity to live life to the fullest. He's in the moment and he enjoys it. So, without much further ado, my friend and my mentor, Mallanna Sasalu.
Minal, I've never heard so much about myself in one sitting, and thank you for doing this, and you should do all my intro.
Well, Mallanna, facts are facts. Very easy for me when I'm speaking the truth and not embellishing anything. Mallanna, sit back, relax, feel at home.
Thank you very much.
You know, when we were talking about this a few weeks ago and we said we'll do this podcast, I asked you, so what should we talk about? You were very graceful and very gracious when you said, Minal, you decide. You decide the topic and we'll talk about it. So actually I was thinking about it. I was like, what can we talk about? While I have the privilege of working with you and, watching you operate day in and day out, and I probably know some things, maybe some other people don't. One thing that maybe people who don't know you and would want to know from you, and probably also some public good, would be to talk about leadership. That's something that you have been doing for a while now. Styles, types, the people factor, everything that goes into making you a leader.
Let me do as much as I can do.
So, like any good story, let's start at the beginning. Sure. You tell us how it all started for you. Once upon a time, there was a boy called Mallanna Sasalu, and?
I was born in a family of five. My parents and 5 children. My older sister, my older brother, my younger sister. I'm one of the few lucky people in this world to have all of them with me, and I learned a lot from them. I always say that I was born with very ordinary attributes, and I really stole a lot from each one of them and made myself who I am today. My father was a senior government officer. I learned a sense of duty from him, what duty means to human beings. My mother was all about compliance and commitment to the family, and she was a 4th grader, but wonderfully she brought us up. And my older sister, it's all about leadership, because my mother was a 4th grader, somebody had to control all the other children in the family. So, and my older brother is all about practicality, and my younger brother, who's a doctor, is all about exquisiteness, and my younger sister is about sharing, caring, and loving. So I said, my God, with all these people around me, I think I should steal one attribute from each one of them and make myself. And that's what happened during childhood. So from the career perspective, what happened on the other side was that I became a site engineer like any other civil engineer would become. So while I was a site engineer, I was dealing with all the people who are on site. And I said, no, I think I should be doing something bigger than that. And I went on looking for that as I moved forward, working for project management consultant, working for architects, working for owners. And there you go, as I went on with the foundation that was there for me from my childhood. When I applied the same thing here I am today. And the short story to what it is this.
Mallanna, you spoke about, you said you stole some attributes from your siblings. You're being very gracious when you say that. Of course, it's something you emulated, right? Yeah. You saw that growing up and you learned, and obviously you have decades of leadership experience also. So things that you stole, things that you learned, things that you lived and experienced, have you distilled it all? So if I was to ask you, Mallanna, what is your leadership philosophy?
See, who is a leader? very simply to put it, right? Who's a leader? Leader needs to have followers. With leader and followers, then you need to get some result. As a leader, you need to have a vision, and it cannot be done by yourself. So what you do is that you want to put a team of people, and you will work together to reach that goal, and that's the whole idea of leadership, and to go move forward in a society or wherever, or an organization, or whatever you're doing. So first it is about yourself. How much you can actually live and invest yourself into that cause. And once you communicate that well, then it is not your vision. Then it's a vision of, it becomes a collective vision of the people who are around you, who are willing to follow you. I always say that leadership is not about you, but it's everything about you. It's all about you means that how do you regulate yourself and make sure that your personality does not come out, your ego does not come out, because I am the leader, I am the CEO, I am this, I am that, and so it's not about you, but it's everything about you. Everything about you is how you regulate yourself, and it's not about you is how you will allow everybody else to do what they are supposed to do in achieving that collective vision.
The process of selection, nurturing, making a good team, does that flow into your philosophy?
Obviously, right? It's basically that you have a goal to reach, and to go do that goal to reach. For example, if India is supposed to win the World Cup, one day international or whatever the cup that you want to win, which means that you require several skills, and you require skills. Along with the skills, you require personalities and characters. Important thing is when you bring them in, everybody comes with great intent. Everybody wants to do well. You need to put and orient them towards what it is required, and particularly in business settings. When they come in here, that if you really do not orient them to the way of we do things differently, or the way we do things, which is the reason why who we are as successful organization, then that person will fail. Most organizations fail, not actually people fail, most organization fails because we do not allow them to settle down and orient them to what we want to do. It's very important, one is the selection, and I think selection is overrated, and in my opinion that the nurturing is what takes the most important aspect of developing a team. Are we providing that platform for people to grow to that level, to become bigger, to reach their aspirations, or even beat those aspirations once they had? When I say operating system, that operating system must consider that very seriously, otherwise you will lose people. As an organization or as a group, we may not be evolving at the rate in which the person himself is evolving. You may not have the position for that person. Then person may leave you and go away, but then you can think that that's your contribution to the society. It's happened many number of times, because you bring in 3-4 young people in over 4-5 years, and these people have really blossomed into really good people, and maybe organization has not grown that faster. They leave you and go. Then you should wish them well, and that is how you build that leadership. Leadership is not where you just live and you work and you operate. Leadership is really, that's the reason I say leadership is a space and not a position. You're there everywhere. I hope I answered your question.
Can you nurture people to forget and relearn? Is that a possibility?
See, we all evolve in life. As long as you believe that this person has the greatest intent. If the intent is good, everything can be sorted out. The selection of people and retaining of the people, that's something that you brought about. It's really about that intent of the people, how much this person has performance culture. Please understand,
Very important.
Working for an organization is not working for your family. We are not a family in an organization. It's a misnomer that is put into people, in the old world to retain people. Modern generation will never accept.
They're not.
They're not going to accept that, right? So then who are we? We're all coming together and we are there for 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours together. Who are we? We are like a team, like a cricket team or a baseball team or a rugby team or any other hockey team, any other team. We all come together and we have our own skills and strengths and positions to do things, and we are all helping each other to do our things. We are all there for our emotions and our failures and successes, celebration and everything else. But at the same time, performance. If the performance is not there, then you are going out and making way for somebody else.
You are.
And that is the reality in the corporate world or wherever we are working in.
How does one inculcate this really Zen-like state of security, which I am asking you because I know you have, and we've had these conversations several times, and you yourself have told me, Manal, you can't take these things personally. If someone decides to leave you or someone decides to leave the organization, you need to understand that. So where does this Zen-like calm come from?
I don't know where it comes from, but probably the understanding that we're not going to live for 500 years in this world.
Okay.
We are trying to, nobody is. We're trying to find a permanent position in an impermanent world. Yeah, once you're guaranteed that you've done whatever the best you could do and nothing much that you can do about it. And very importantly, there must be an acceptance that you are not God, you cannot fix everything. And also that everybody is trying to do their best, right? May not be enough sometimes, but that's the way it goes. That acceptance is what makes you feel like Zen. I'm not there yet, very frankly speaking, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. I know that I have come to you several times agitated, and you've told me, look at the bigger picture and step out of this.
I want to talk about something that's very important, right? As leaders that, secured leaders know how to manage up. Managing up means what? The people who are up have set directions for you, has given you the responsibility and enabled you to take care of that responsibility. And then you have people down, people who are following you, who have taken the mandate from you or the direction from you to do what you are supposed to do. And managing up and down is very important. There are a lot of people who can manage up and down very well. There are only few people who can manage the peers, that is the middle, people at the same level. People who cannot build a cohesive environment along with the people who are your peers will not be successful, will not be able to become larger leaders. It's very, very important. It is like an orchestra. Everybody has an instrument. If they're not playing in the rhythm that whatever the master has told, in this case the CEO or whoever may be the people who are calling shots, then absolutely the orchestra is not going to be the way.
Won't be melodious.
It won't be melodious.
Mallanna, in one of my favorite words is Schadenfreude, and German speakers should forgive my pronunciation of it. So you're telling us that giving each other the space and enjoying each other's success, but also not celebrating the other person's failure is what you're saying, right? Because that's what Schadenfreude means. It says, don't take joy in other person's misfortune.
Absolutely, and particularly in a setting where you are going towards a vision, which is a collective vision. One person failing is everybody's failing. So, okay, sometimes you fail because certain strategies that we follow in business might not have worked, but there must be something else that should be augmenting that so that the vision is intact and the move towards that vision is intact. So if you start to celebrate that somebody else's failure, then obviously that remember the words that I spoke in the beginning, that is the intent. That intent is wrong. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It is really not you put the people with the best quality, best skills in the business. You want people with really basic characters which are well honed and matured. Very important.
You, of course, have led multiple teams, multiple departments. You've built teams, you've built organizations. When you have people of all these differing backgrounds, differing, thought processes, differing intents, and we said, yes, you can nurture people up to an extent, but you need to, you need to make stew out of all these different ingredients. How do you do that? And how is the stew going to be tasty at the end,
Friction will always be there. The friction always gives rise to better outcomes. There can't be a team without the frictions. And the second thing is, you will never have the most optimized team in the world. But seeing those weaknesses or seeing those lacunas in the team, everybody appreciates that, and still coming together is what binds a team together, and then you get the outcomes together.
So diversity helps, right?
Because everybody brings something to the table that other person do not have. If you have a 23-year-old person and there is a 50-year-old person, a 23-year-old person brings legs, energy and newness. A 50-year-old person says, you can run faster, But if you don't keep your leg properly, you may get a fracture. Right? So that's the diversity.
Mallanna, there is this very old saying that says success has many masters, right? And failure only has one. Has there been failure, that, and I'm talking about failure, I'm not talking about setback, that, a project approval didn't come in time. I'm talking about a failure, and how did you manage to come out of it? I think that's something aspiring C-suits like me would really want to know, because how else do you climb the ladder?
I've always had this vision of building an organization which one day when people will look back and say, wow, what an organization this is. And how do we build that? And that was my intention all through over the last probably 10, 15 years. It is not that you build houses and people come and live there and you build the business and there is profit and loss and you made profits. I'm always thinking about what kind of economic value a business produces. When you do business, what economic value business produces. What do I mean by that is that one transaction is not one transaction, it's multiple transactions. A person working in an organization takes some, let us say 12 lakhs rupees, and 12 lakhs rupees goes back to that person's house. That person goes and buys something else and also pays the maid, and maid pays to the school fees for the child, and it goes on like that. So it's really about the businesses we build is not about the profit and loss alone, which is very important. It is about the total economic value that it produces to the society.
You know why I smiled when you said that? Because when I did some, when we said we were going to do this, I did some research, and of course, Shri Google led me on to a YouTube video of yours, and Megalithic Ventures.
Yeah.
I found that video, Mallanna, and in that, I think that was 8 years ago, you actually spoke about the very same thing. You used these 3 words, total economic value.
Building houses for the economically weaker section is not about the immediate gains. It is about the total economic value it produces in the long run that we should look at.
Yeah, so consistency, one of my favorite traits. So you've not changed your mind, and you've obviously not budged from your intent and your vision.
So I started working for a fund. Our fund and I had the same vision that we want to build one of the largest affordable housing platform in the country. And we want to raise multiple millions of dollars for that. And we did the business case, and we wanted to do this with governments. And so it went so far ahead. At some point of time, the fund decided that because they had multiple interests in the country, and they decided to exit India, and not only India, wherever their investments were, they decided to exit. And then business generally, when they see a great valuation, they want to exit. They exited and they said, Mallanna, what do you want to do with this platform? I said, I'm going to run this platform by myself.
Okay.
So I decided to become an entrepreneur. And then I started looking for people, and I had some 8-10 people working with me, and we built a platform. And also we signed an MOU with a Japanese fund to fund us, and it was all going forward. And then came COVID. And it hit Japan first, I think, and Japanese stood back, and then we tried to keep that alive for some time, 1 year, 2 years, while I started to take my assignments outside my own company just to make sure to keep the company afloat. And at some point of time, it just was not working. Then I had to make sure that the people who worked with me got their jobs. And the failure has actually brought in several changes in me in terms of the maturity, in terms of how to take life. And COVID also taught us, along with the business, that how much you should take life seriously. Kind of a soul-searching time, right? To see what are we, what is that we are here for, what is that we want to do in our lives, and got few answers. And today here I am doing well in life. It's all good.
What's the biggest lesson you learned from this failure?
You don't need to take everything so seriously in life, but not to lose your vision for what you want to do, right? It's okay. It's okay to stand back. It's very simple. It's like a chessboard. In chessboard, what happens is that it's not that always you're moving the pawns ahead, right? It's not only moving ahead is not progress. Sometimes stepping back is also progress, right? We always do that in a game of chess. Really going back a little bit is sometimes could be advantageous to you.
Such a wonderful and refreshing way to think that stepping back is also stepping forward.
Absolutely.
What's one of your favorite leadership traits that you try to inculcate in yourself, you want to bring in others?
I said, don't take yourself too seriously. You know, it's not about you. That's very consistent in my thought. That it's not about you. It is what is that we are all dealing with together. If it is an issue only pertaining to me, then it's me. If it's an issue which pertains to what we are collectively thinking, then it is about the thinking only. And that's been my consistent philosophy, and that's one trait that I always want to follow. For that, it's all about me. When I say that, it is how do I not let my ego get past me. And I've been quite successful in it in recent times, or maybe whatever 5, 8, 10 years. It's worked out very well for me, and I even tell my immediate managers that look for that thing, saying that no, it's not about me.
So Mallanna, you said don't take yourself seriously, and you also said put all your cards on the table, right? Put the issue on the table. What does that mean? How do you practice that? How do you put your issue on the table?
Issue on the table means it is not that you're going to get everybody deeper into that. The good leader does is you will get back and look at, in a larger context as to why this issue has come up. What is this issue and where is the root of this issue that we are trying, root of the problem that we are trying to solve.
Root cause analysis.
It's not root cause analysis, which I call it as focal, causal, and first principles. What do I mean? 3 words.
Three
and
big
three
fancy words like,
focal, causal. See, what happens is that when we look at something, that we look at things and say, hey, the problem is because of this, and you want to solve the problem, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. When you stand back, that means you take your focus off the thing and come back and have a larger, wider focus, like the cameras we have here. Like, if you look at larger, wider focus of the issue, then you will say that, oh, okay, maybe the problem is elsewhere. So I can give you an example. One of my best friend moved from Delhi, and he and his wife and his son, 8-year-old kid, and all of them moved, and his kid joined the school here. And after some time, and they look at the child, and child's grades were consistently going down, and they are wondering that what is going on here. As responsible parents, what do? Barrage of advices to the child. So one day, mother started asking child, tell me, we moved here, are you feeling okay? Why is that your grades are going down? Right? The child says, I am the only child with a turban in the school.
Oh,
because
poor kid.
they are Punjabis. So child feels very different here from whatever whichever school the child went into.
No one would
Delhi.
have thought about this.
No one would have thought about it. So which means what? It means that what you focus and you go deep inside, you will not find the solution. When you come out and stand, and the solution. Actually speaking, why is that we go deeper? Because we think that we are capable of finding solution at the depth. But actually, the problem itself will give you the solution if you stand back. So that's a little bit of a concept that if you're able to imbibe, I think it's a wonderful thing in solving issues, particularly in group settings where 8 or 10 people, because now you're drilling down, and now you're also taking 8, 10 people along with you. Now we are all there and trying to solve that problem.
Down in the dirt.
Just imagine that the child had grandmother, grandfather, and both sides grandmother, grandfather.
Study hard.
Study
what
hard.
Are you doing?
The child is not studying. So everybody saying the same thing, but nobody asking or standing back and say, what does the child need to study well?
Interesting. Mallanna, do you have a favorite leader? Somebody that you think you try to emulate yourself on? It doesn't have to be a corporate, it can be anyone,
I didn't try to emulate anybody. As I said, that I was born with ordinary attributes, and I just picked up. When I look at it, one person that comes to my mind is Mahatma Gandhi. 1920s, 30s, 40s was not the same as today. It was a very, very different world, and we were not the same people at that point of time. Now with that, we have education, we have communication, and we are able to tell people that what exactly the world, how it should work, what we should do, and so on and so forth. Somebody who comes from South Africa, and the first thing that he does is that he takes the train and goes around the country to understand who these people are, what do they need. Then he realizes that this country needs independence, and these people are smarter people, they can run their own life. We need the independence. But the path that he takes is an alien path, the path that people have not heard before, a path which says that, oh, non-violence.
No, unheard of.
Unheard of, and then fasting.
Also
And to
unheard of.
Unheard of. And to an extent of saying that if somebody slaps on one chin, give the other
Show the
chin.
other.
Show the other. So even in this civilized world with so much of education and so much of importance for having peace around us, even today we do not have that kind of a vision, that kind of a practice or a system. May not, if I tell you that, you will say, Mallanna, have you gone crazy? But a person who takes that which to a largely agrarian society, and in the modern day world we can say that less educated, and to go and tell them that, you know, this is the path to gain independence. And people agreed or disagreed, we do not know, but people followed him.
In millions.
In millions, and he stuck to that whole idea, and finally we were able to get Indian independence. So what it really means, taking an idea and that vision and communicating it to people, and to people rally around it. Many people might not have even accepted his methodology, but they followed. They followed. So taking that and getting that Indian independence is one of the greatest leadership lessons that we can learn in this world. And if you see that it did not only that he left 1948 or so after he was killed, we moved on, the world took that. Today, if we talk about peace, somewhere a piece of Mahatma Gandhi is there.
Absolutely.
Right? Piece of Mahatma Gandhi is there that no, we should not be violent. Non-violence, with non-violence this world can live peacefully. If anybody said that, any leader in the world said that, so there is a piece of Mahatma Gandhi in that.
And sometimes exigencies can happen, and there are external factors that might make a leader or an organization shift directions. For example, a tax regime change or a regulatory framework coming into play. How does a leader navigate something like that?
Again, you step back and look at it, what is the change that has come in and what is the impact that it is making. And please understand, anything that happens external to your organization has happened to everybody. So generally, particularly at the leadership level, that we cannot be seeing and saying, sitting and ruing about the things that, oh, the GST has come in or something else has come in, so regulatory changes have come in, new comprehensive development plan is released, and we are affected by, everybody is affected by that. So we can keep talking about it, or say, we should be first to get out of the blocks and say, okay, here are my 10-point formula, how to tackle this one, and get the specialist to help you and move forward. So in my opinion, any changes that happen outside your control is definitely not under your control. What's in your control is only to make sure that how you navigate better than others is only going to tell you how far you can go.
You have been in the real estate sector for many years, and you obviously navigated several promoters, several bosses, several peers. Is everybody in the industry competition, or do you have friendships that you have developed over the way?
All of them are our friends.
All of them?
All of them are our friends.
Okay, that's a big statement, Mallanna.
All of them are friends.
Okay.
Absolutely. You learn something, you don't like about something, please understand it goes back to the interest. Somebody is trying to protect their interest. For example, that you go after a land parcel. There is another developer who goes after the same land parcel. Then you have a bitter fight. Not in the true sense of a fight. They have their strategies, you have your strategies, and you lose, let us say. And they used a superior strategy. They are doing what they think is fair. You can sit and tell that, it can only be your defense to your loss. It's not like that. So you will say, well done. You did well. Sometimes you say that, I'm going to buy that at 10,000 rupees per square feet. Somebody may go and pitch 13,000 rupees per square feet and may buy that and still make a lot of money out of that. Then you say, I was
underestimated that.
I was not there. Each organization probably would have taken the culture from their promoters, from the original promoters of the organization. Some are cost-conscious organizations. Some are, they want to throw the money and get more money. And there may be somebody who is really good in developing partnerships. That is, everything for the partner, or whatever is left is for me. make sure that the partners are happy. So many number of ways so you can take a look at each one of them and actually appreciate, wow, this is how this organization is built and this is their ethos, and I find it very interesting. We may not find a single organization which has all those qualities, but some of those qualities that somebody else has, you should have appreciation for that.
And I know people may not believe what you're saying, but I know you have said this to me multiple times before, that because we are not alone, sector is growing, I'm growing, my competition is growing, we're all growing together. So to have a viewpoint of enmity does not work in any industry.
No, without taking the name, a large developer one day was delivering a lecture, and I cannot forget what he said. We are all like porcupines. When it's cold, we all have to get together to make sure that our temperature is distributed and we all stay alive. Even though the thorns push you each other and gives you that sting that actually make you feel uncomfortable. That is the way an industry should have to be together. There may be some kind
Such
of
a cool way of putting it,
right? So there will be discomfort, but let us be together. Otherwise, we will all die. We'll all die, and that is the reason why we build industry bodies. That is where we go.
Mallanna, when I checked with my peers, I said I'm going to have a conversation with Mallanna and I'm going to ask him like a few questions. I did like a survey, what would you like to hear him say? So they said, there's a lot of theory out there, and sometimes theory doesn't help us. And Mallanna might have encountered a situation where which we have not encountered or we are struggling with. So I'm going to ask you like 5 or 6 things that will help people, move on in life, especially people like me who are in that level where, we're still learning. What's the single most biggest weakness that you see in middle managers these days?
Since you said single most, and I believe that most of the middle and senior managers, they don't understand that they've come to the leadership position. And when I say they don't understand coming to the leadership position, means that their job is to make decisions. They need to analyze the situation and make decisions. And most junior and middle managers are looking for somebody else to decide for them. It is not number of years that have gone by and because of which you have become a president or a vice president or whatever that people would have become. But when you are in that position, that you are expected to make decisions, which means decision making is risky. That means you need to take risks.
What happens when 2 of your reportees are in conflict?
Yeah, so straight away call them and put them in front of each other and ask them to say what they want to say. So both of them are going to complain about, this is what it is, that's what. Then as the leader, you sit there and see whether the human ego is speaking or they are actually discussing on an issue. Conflicts can only be in an organization on issue and business and not among the personalities. And that's an opportunity for a leader to show how the personalities can be taken out and the issues can be resolved.
Segueing from your response, and if they're speaking from their ego?
You will tell them that you're speaking from ego. You are not important, I'm not important, no individual is important. How we feel as individuals are not important. How we feel on a subject is important.
When people say, I did my job or this is not my job, how do you deal with people like that?
So that's the collective vision that we have. Like let's look at, there's a plant here, the plant has to be grown and it's going to become a tree. But if the person who says who puts the tree over water says, I put the water, somebody didn't trim it. Somebody says that I didn't put the manure, I put the manure, I don't know what happened after that, somebody put the water or not. So it doesn't work like that. Businesses don't work like that. As I said earlier, businesses is like running an orchestra. Everybody has to do their job at the right time when they are supposed to do. I did my job does not work. For example, people say, I sent an email. Hey, did you look at what happened? I sent an email. To whom? To that person. What happened? I don't know. Oh, we have a problem there. We're not paid for sending emails. Get my point?
Yes.
So we're not sending emails. We're completing a task, and that needs to be explained to people.
behind every successful man there is a woman. How does this play in your life?
In my life, my wife Shri, and an independent woman and an independent career, and fantastic to have her around in my life. She has given me enough independence for me to grow, meaning to say that the space between us is quite there for us, while we are husband and wife, but we have aspirations individually as to we have to reach somewhere. For that, we need that gap. And that gap is really well maintained among us, and all congratulations to her. When I see the world where people have those restrictions, with restrictions the plant does not grow. The tree,
Nice.
the plant does
Well
not
put.
become a tree, and plant becomes a tree without any restrictions.
What's the weirdest thing an employee has ever told you?
The weirdest thing that I have heard from is from our security guy in one of the offices that I worked. When I was walking out at maybe 7 o'clock or so, sir, you are the CEO here? I said, yes, I am the CEO. And he said, what does the CEO do?
Did you explain?
And I tried for 2-3 minutes, and I failed. Not because he was not understanding, I didn't know what to say. While driving back almost 15-20 minutes, I thought about it and said, like, what a great question it was. What do I do?
The most honest thing an employee has ever told you?
This is an interesting one, really interesting one. And this was I think in 2012 when I was running a 12 or 13 when I was running a real estate company, and that was the time when the digital marketing was coming into fore, coming into fore, and we were talking about the banners, this, that, and so on and so forth. And we're talking about we should do like this, we should do, no, that's not the way it works, this is not the way it works. There was this one intern girl that we had hired. She was an officer's daughter. We think that okay, the girl can come here and sit and learn something out of this. And she was sitting there, and this girl, after some time we spoke for from 20 minutes, and she takes the paper and puts it hits it on the table like this and say, you guys don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys are simply blabbering. You guys know nothing about digital marketing. And she walked away.
Probably true and
She walked away. She was not probably correct. She was absolutely right. So one of the things, the lesson that I learned on that day is CEO does not mean that he will know everything.
What is that one piece of vital advice that you will give aspiring leaders, new leaders, or people who are people managers?
Yeah, so as leaders, then who's a leader? There is a vision, there's an organization vision or the leader's vision, and it's communicated to the people who are going to work with you, and then after that everybody is working towards that and moving forward. Very important thing is that not to forget there are individual interests, individual aspirations. Right. So we always have to keep that in mind. If we forget that, then it's not going to move. It's not going to go too far. We have to identify whether the individual's interest and individual self-interest is aligned with the larger vision or not. If it is not aligned and the person is not forthcoming to do what you want to do, so it's very important, and to make sure that you water that plant. Each individual plant you need to water that, so they all become trees and become a lovely forest. It's very important that their interests are taken care.
Okay, since you're saying this, if somebody comes to you and asks for career advice, and what they're asking you also involves probably leaving your organization and going, how do you be empathetic that time?
Very good question. So many number of times it has happened in my life. When the people come in to ask me that, then I'm going to ask them one question. Are you asking Mallanna, or are you asking the CEO of the company? Most times they say, I'm asking Mallanna. Then you have a responsibility to get out of that chair called the CEO's chair or the leader's chair, and to talk about and say, to really assess whether the organization is capable of holding this person back. Meaning that person might have grown so fast and so quick that you may not have a position, or maybe that position is already occupied. Then you have to give a very honest answer to that person saying that I think you should quit. And I have done that many number of times.
And if they say I'm asking Mallanna the CEO?
Then I will tell them that, what are how the company is growing and what my vision is, etc. And I will let the person make the decision. We'll tell them that where we are going and where that person may have a role, and then that person's aspiration should be matching, must be done by that other person, the employee. That they will do that, and we're all adults. We make our decisions.
So I'm hoping that aspiring leaders really listen to this conversation over and over again and take lessons from it, and also know that you can be a site engineer, and if you have the right intent and you have the right vision, you can be where you are today. Mallanna, I can't thank you enough for this lovely conversation. Thank you for being honest, as you always are. Also thank you for taking a moments of vulnerability. I really enjoyed my conversation today, and I hope there are many lessons that many people can learn.
Minal, but I always enjoy speaking with you, and it's a great conversation, and I've tried to answer the questions the way I feel is more direct, and I hope it's helpful to somebody who watches this.
I hope so too, Mallanna. So to everyone out there, Mallanna Sasalu, probably the only Mallanna Sasalu on LinkedIn, he's active on it. You have any questions, please ask him. I vouch that he will answer. Apparently, I'm the only monologiker on LinkedIn too. So any feedback on the podcast or anything else, DM me, I will reply. Thank you for joining us on behalf of CEO Club's Bangalore chapter. Thank you once again.